Hey, this is Tilak. Welcome back to Fast Formula tutorial. Today, we are going to look at that one more topic, that is WSA, Working Storage Area. What is working storage area? This is nothing but a kind of global variable or a public variable. If you are a developer, you know that, whether it's a PL SQL or a Java, we have a variable that is visible across the application. Okay. That is what it is. The purpose of that WSA is that is what it is. Okay. Now, how does it work? You can't set the variable directly. So there are functional variables. You can set the variable. I'll take the set first. You can set the variable with a variable name and the values. Okay. And you can use the get the function to get the value, and you are going to give a default. We know that there is nothing called a null or anything. So you always give a default value. Then you can validate the default value if this variable is set coming from a WSA get or not. So you can set the value and you can get the value. Okay, before you get the value, you can find out the WSA is set. I mean, the WSA value exists in that area. So you can validate before you are getting the value. Then that you can delete the value. So it is a 4-symbol function. Okay, but when you are setting the value, make sure you are using a kind of a unique name. If you don't use a proper unique name and somebody else also using the same variable, it is going to set the value again. Or when you are getting it, probably you are going to get the wrong value. So when you are setting the variable, you have to be careful what you are setting it. You can use a colon to set the value. You can look at the document, they have given a few examples of the names. But make sure you are using some kind of a unique value for every fast formula wherever you are using that WSA. Make sure that. The second part you have to be careful is the variable is available within the session. What happened? Okay, if a fast formula used in some kind of a UI, everything is fine. There is no issue with that. But if the fast formula using in that ESS process, most of the process works in a different threads. And every thread works in its own DBA session. So every DBA sessions are independent. They don't talk to each other. They are kind of isolated sessions. So if you are trying to set the variable in one session and trying to get the variable in a different sessions, it is not going to happen because the session cannot talk to each other. They are independent. So you have to know properly, that whatever you are getting it and setting it, setting it and getting it has to be happen within the session. As far my understanding, compensation, and probably every HCM product, I think when they process a person in the same session or assignment in the same session. They don't split it, but I don't know exactly. You have to look at that logs and everything to find out how it is processed. Most of the time they don't same person may not be processed in a different or assignment in a different sessions. That's the one thing. The second thing you have to make sure is you are setting in the formula that is executed before the getting formula. Assume if you are having an eligibility, you can define a multiple formula, then you may not know what order it is executed. So the order is important. So make sure that you are setting the variable in the formula that is executed before the formula that use the get. Okay, those are two things. So the one more thing also I found out, like, whenever you are setting first time, this WSA set takes a little longer than the subsequent times. So you have to need a kind of a fraction of seconds to set that variable. If the get is executed before that the set is happened, then that WSA exists returns false. This is my experience sometimes, but most of the time, if you are having this has happened whenever I'm kind of trying with a simple formula or a simple process. This happens, but when in the real works and I'm doing it, I never had a problem. But make sure these are the possible issues. Possible area you have to take care. And you also have to have some kind of a fallback for whatever you are doing. So when you write the formula, make sure you have that proper fallback or the protection for all these issues. Now let's see how it works. Okay, now I'm setting a person. You are setting the FF pass formula 1. You are setting that one that the subsequent. After the FF2 is executed, you can get the variable. Okay, this is a kind of a horizontally we are setting it. One person, then within the person, the formula 1, formula 2 get the value. That perfectly works. Then the second example, I'm setting the value. This is kind of a horizontally we are going. When I say horizontally, it is person by person. When I say vertically, this within the person, it is going within the person, formula 1, formula 2, formula 3. When I say horizontally, it is a person 1, formula, whatever the formula, then the person 2, whatever the formula. Okay, here what is happening here is I'm setting that variable in the first formula for a person 1, the same person that FF2 can use the same variable, and the person 2, the formula 1, formula 2 also can get the variable. Okay, there's nothing wrong. You can set that in one person, you can get it in the other person. But assume if the person 2 is working in different sessions for some reason, then the WSA is available, not available, because this does not even understand the WSA over there. Okay, and make sure this is happening within the same session. That's all about that, WSA. Now let's get into develop a fast formula and see how it works. In this WSA example, we are going to develop 2 fast formula. For me, I'm using a person selection fast formula. That is the first formula executed for every person. Then I am also using eligibility for fast formula that would be executed also for every person, but after the person selection. Okay. The example I'm using may not be relevant to any real requirements. Just I'm trying to show how that, the WSA's storage area is set and get. Take it as an example, but it may not have a real usage. Okay. I'm also using that existing fast formula because the setup is ready. It is that the formula is already used in the setup. So I'm using the existing fast formulas. Then I'm basically removing the content, I'm writing it. Okay. Now let's get into that person selection fast formula. Okay. I'm editing it. This doesn't have anything, just it has got a, sorry, I've taken the wrong formula. I'll go to the person selection. This has happened to me second time because the cursor was on the first formula. Then I'm clicking the second, the cursor is not moved directly. So basically, but I click here, then I go to the person selection. Okay. Correction. So, okay, I give you a space for writing a formula. I also try to increase that. Okay. So you know that, okay, this is everything's there. Okay, now what we do. The example I'm going to use is I'm going to get the salary If there is a FD related to salary, I am calculating the full-time equal. FD is full-time equal salary. And if the salary is less than 200,000, I'm making eligible. Probably I'm making eligible. A lot of people say eligible. And if the person doesn't have a salary and he is not eligible, okay. So that salary will be set into FDE and the same salary will be used in eligible to have a further eligibility, to validate the further eligibility. This is the logic I am going to use it. In a real case, you don't need eligibility and the person selection, like, you can kind of mix it or put it in the same formula because both are doing the same job. Okay, but okay, there may be other cases you need both, but in this case I'm talking about it is a sales. If you are using a formula, just formula to validate eligibility and the person selection, you can put them together into the same formula. You can validate. You don't need two formula. Take it as just an example for WSA. Well, since I have that two first formula items, I'm using the first formula item here. DBAs. Assignment salary annual amount is -1 and person assignment FDE value is -1. This is what I'm initializing with that. Then I am using a L values to store that salary, calculated salary. Ret value is to come out. By default, I'm setting to Y. I'm assuming everybody is eligible. Now what happens? So I'm going to get the person ID. Okay, person ID. Okay, get context person ID. Default value is -1. Okay. I'm going to print that value here. I'm telling that is a person ID. Okay. Person ID to care variable. I'm putting the variable over. So now I'm printed my person ID. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm telling the salary is defined. How do I do that? Okay. I say if, okay, check salary level. Okay. Salary is okay. If then okay, if is what? If is salary was not TFA to LTD. The salary was not defaulted. So salary is defined. I'm going to get the salary into the variable. Okay. Then I'm going to log the salary. Okay. Annual salary. Okay. Annual salary is what? Values. Okay. Now we got the annual salary. Okay. Now what we do here is now I'm telling that FD is available. Okay. Same way we do that. FD was defaulted. Okay. Sometimes typing is easier. Was defaulted, was not defaulted. So it is available. Now what you do here? I am value multiplied with, so okay, so I'm going to say here, okay, I can type FD here, then I can put FD salary here. Okay, FD here, print FD, FD, okay, FD salary, this will make it FD salary. Okay, FD is printed, FD is not available, FD salary is printed, that is fine. Okay, now we set salary to WSA. Okay, we are also going to set a person ID. So in this case, what happened? The same session, some other person is also working, that some variable is, we are making sure the person also set. So whenever we are getting the FD, we make sure the salary belongs to the person, then they validate that. Okay, that's a one way you can work that. There's a one more way also you can work that. I'll show you both way, but okay, the simple way we are going for there is. So I have that. Okay, I'll do it below that. I'm not, okay, even if that salary is 0, I'm going to do that. Okay, you can do it above that. So in this case, I'm doing, so every person will be, every eligible person will be set. Okay. I'm just copying and pasting it. So it's easier. Okay. WS set, I'm putting a TCS, WSA, test, FTE, salary, and the values. Person. Okay, now that I'm having a 2 variable. Instead of that, you can also do something like that. Here is, you can do like to care person ID. Okay, you can put a person ID here, person ID here. In this case, you are making the variable with the person ID. That's the one possibility also you can do that. Anyway, I'm not doing it here, but you can try with that part also. So the thing is, every variable is unique. But make sure you are removing the variable, unless like if you are processing it 10,000 people, there will be 10,000 WSAs. I don't know what's the limitation they have. There's a possibility of you are getting into trouble. So make sure that part. Here what happened, we are having a 2 WSA, one is with the person ID, one is with the salary. So whenever I'm getting it, I get the person ID, validate the person ID with the person ID, then I get the value. That's the logic. So there's only 2 variable works. Okay. Then finally I'm validating it. I'm telling that, okay, I'm just copying, cutting and pasting it. Finally, I'm telling that if that value is greater than 200,000 or value is less than or equal to 0, you put a return value no. Okay, the person with above 200,000 salary or the person's salary is 0, there's no salary, then return value is 0. So okay, I'm seeing that, submitting that, combining, refreshing. There are 26 syntax error. What is 26? What is that? Okay, then it's missing. Okay, 26. Then it's missing. Okay, just we have one more look. Default is right. Was writing value. Personality get the personality printed. If it's not defaulted, then value I'm getting the salary amount. Like I'm also like logging the FT. The FT is not defaulted. I'm getting calculating the FT with the salary. I'm locking that. Then when the calculation done, whichever value salary is coming, I'm setting it. This is I'm doing here. This is I can do it below that also. Like within like L part also I can do that. That is fine. Because next time it is going to set. That's okay. It is going to be reused. Okay, I'm saving it. Combining it. compile fine. Then we are going back. Now we are going to searching it again. That is working fine. CMB eligible. Now we are going to work on the eligibility. Okay, now what is we are going to do that? Okay, the eligible one thing you have to be careful is when you are writing that the person eligibility, the return variable has to be eligible. Okay, if you are giving any other value, eligible variable name, it is not going to work the way you expected. Be careful on that part. Now we have that eligible is that. Let me get the person ID. Person ID. Get context. Person ID -1. Okay, got the person ID. So we write the person ID into the log. Okay, write the person ID into the log. We got the person ID. Okay, now we are checking WSA available. Okay, now I'm telling if WSA. Okay, I'll put that usually. Then is typo. Okay, I say if WSA exist, yes, exists. What is the name? I'm having, make sure you like whenever writing the formula, take a copy of it some, so you know that, because you need that exact name has to be used. Okay. Okay, if the salary exists. Okay, first of all, I'm finding the salary is there. Okay. If it is else what happened? I'm just telling if it is not exist, I'm telling it is not exist. And I'm making the person ineligible because there's no salary, it's 0. The person may not come here, but just this is kind of a making sure that the code is logically right. Okay, but if the salary is not there, the person is excluded in the person selection itself. So, okay. So anyway, the salary exists. That is fine. Then I'm getting that. I'm also assuming the person also exists. Salary exists. The person has to exist. Okay, you can have one more WSA exist, but I don't see a need for that because both are set together. If the salary is there, this or that. Okay, there's a one possibility. There is somebody else may set with the same name. That's what I say, that some other formula executed in the same session, and the salary exists, you are going to be in trouble. But in this case, we don't need it. Okay. Okay, I am telling that. Okay, exist. Okay, I'm writing it now. I'm having a one more variable. I'm telling that here person ID WSA get. Okay, get -1. Okay. Okay, now what is the variable? I'm WSA get variable is TSA person. Anyway, copy and paste. So the variable name is, or item name, you can call it variable name, item name, whichever right for you. Okay, now the person ID is there. Okay, now I'm also going to put that okay, say that WSA person person ID. Okay, if okay, person ID equal to L person ID equal to L person ID. What? Okay. Else what? Else. Okay. Okay. I don't have to write this way. Basically, I can default with N and make it easier. I'm just writing it like, kind of to show you more than that. Like, if I put a eligible no, then I'm making everything is right. I'm setting it that is the easier way of working it. That's the right way of working it. Here I'm doing other way around to show you all these details. Okay. Person not the same. Same. Okay. So the person ID is not equal to the person ID. That is what. Okay. Now let's see. If the person ID is the same, what will happen? Now, okay. Now I'm going to get the salary. Okay. I'm going to get that salary. Salary equivalent to WSA get of what? Okay. WSA get of WSA get of salary. So I'm putting that exact value. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write that salary. Okay. IL data, IL person ID. Okay, I'm going to write the salary. Okay. I'm getting the salary, I'm writing the salary. Salary is coming here. Instead of person, I'm telling WSA salary. Okay, now I got the salary. Now I'm going to validate the salary. If the salary is what? Okay. If the salary is greater than this one or equivalent to 0, again the person is valid. Right. So I'm telling if then okay. Okay. Eligible equal to no. Okay. We know the salary, so I don't have to write here. I said okay. Okay, just salary failed eligible now. What is that? If it is greater than salary is equal to 0, less than equal to 0, because they are putting that salary is less than equal to 0, or if salary is greater than 100,000. Okay, this is just a logic we are putting it. Okay. What is the logic? Like real requirement, I don't know. Just is a kind of a hypothetical logic. Okay. The first one is validating a person is greater than 200 ineligible. The second one makes sure the person is greater than 100 ineligible. That's all. That's what it does. Okay. So we got that right. Let's see. We got every log is right. Okay. Person ID we are writing it. WSA exists we are writing it. If it is not exist we are writing the log. Then we are telling that person ID, we are putting the person ID. The person ID is, we know that the person ID has to be the same as this person ID. That is also we are writing WSA person ID. So if it's the same, then we are getting the salary, we are writing the salary, then we know that condition Like, since we know the condition, if you are using the condition with the one more variable, make sure you are logging both the variables somewhere. So we know that how it works. Okay, I'm saving it, submitting it. Like whenever you write a formula in the beginning, you log as much as possible informations. Once you validate, like you tested with all the possible test cases, then you can either comment out or you can remove it. That is the easier way. Or what you can do here is other way you can have a. I think already I talked about that. You can have one more variable say that, like debug true. Then you can go and write like every log within the debug true. Like if debug true, write that. Then you can come and make sure debug is false. That's the other way of doing it. But the thing is, in the real case, every time you are testing it, though it's a fraction of a second you are using it, so commenting out is a better way of doing it. But with a much larger formula, that also works for you. Like whichever way you prefer, that is fine. Okay, I'm failing it. 26 again. 26 salaries. 26 if salary is less than equal to 0, salary is greater than, and what's wrong with that? Okay, it is not 26 problem, it is a 24 problem. 24, I didn't have a closing bracket properly. 24 is closed, yes, save. Second, I will submit. I'm not going to show where it is attached and all the setups because in a later sessions when we are going to talk about the compensation individual formula, I tell you where it is attached, how it is works, everything. As of for the time being, I mean for the WSA, we are not going to get into that. Assume that it is attached in your total compensation, the eligibility attached over there. When I'm running that process, I'm giving a person selection. Assume that. Now probably we are going to get into the log directly. Now let us look at the log. Like look at the log here. Here, this entering person eligible person, it is WSA is not able to find that WSA not exist. Okay. Now let's look for all the people who see eligible. Okay. First time it is not exist. Okay. Second time that the first time sometimes I seen the first time it's always says is not exist. When the second time it comes, here the person is eligible. If it is the 12,000 salary is there, the WSA exists is taking the salary. 12,000 WSA is that, okay. But 120,000. The salary is failed because the 120,000 is more than 100,000. Now let's look for this guy. Okay, person why the 48,000. Okay, the 48,000 is the person is eligible because the person ID is there. Like person ID, WSA, person ID is matching it. Salary is 48,000. It is working here. And as I said, the first time, sometime this is taking time to set the WSA, and before it properly setting it, it is the second one coming and looking for the WSA. WSA is not available. This kind of a scenario, you make sure somehow if it is not exist, what to do, just to make sure. Okay, so depending on your logics and everything. And this is how that WSA works. Okay, you can set the WSA in one thing and get the WSA in a different formula. If you have any questions, any comments, or any suggestions, let me know in the comment. If you like my work, like the video, we'll see you next time with a different fast formula tutorial. Thank you.